First series we're going to take a look at, New York Rangers playing Carolina Hurricanes. Hurricanes are a minus 150 favorite for the series. In game one, they're minus 130. Total is 6. Rangers won the season series 4-0. Goalie for the Rangers, actually goalie for both teams is probably a question, but it's probably bigger in New York. People wondering if Hank's going to get in there, but Igor Shesterkin, he's only a kid. He had a small window this year, but he was unreal, 10-2 with the .932 save percentage, 2.52 goals against. For the Hurricanes, we don't know if we're going to get Peter Mrazek or Reimer. That's probably up in the air. I mean, Mrazek played last year. He wasn't great. Obviously, the big thing for the Carolina, slowing down Panarin. And for the Canes, it's trying to recapture what they did last year. Let's go to you first, Whit, for your take.
Yeah, that's why the Canes were they were very open about how much they didn't maybe agree with the playoff scenario we do have going, and everyone immediately looked and saw, oh, well, the Rangers owned them all season. They dummied them. And I just this series gets me as excited as it's in my top 3 that I'm looking forward to in terms of all the series, because I can't wait to see Panarin and Zibanejad. And shout out to Zibanejad, who led the league in goals per game. I think it was like .72, more than Ovechkin and Pastrnak, more than the Rocket Richard winners. And 41 goals in 57 games. I mean, so you talk about Panarin and him deservingly being an MVP candidate, and he could win it and nobody would complain. Well, actually, people would complain because everyone.
Rick would be complainers.
People love complaining. I'm glad I'm someone who never complains. It feels good being like that. But I think that you got these 2 superstars on the Rangers who are fun to watch play, and Carolina, that first line, Svechnikov, Aho, Teravainen, they can play with any first line in the league. Aho, unreal player. I always pump this guy's tires. I love watching him. And they had that run last year to the conference finals. So I think Carolina's the favorite. I think that's who I would believe is going to get this done. The Rangers don't hold on to the puck a lot. They're not a high possession team. They're not good in that aspect. So playoffs, that usually wears thin when you run around chasing the puck, tiring yourself out playing defense.
I think personally Carolina's fucked. And I know I've doubted them in the past, and they've shoved it so far up my hoop, sandpaper finish, no spit, no lube, but I'm betting against them. And I'm going to tell you why. Ooh. In the last 17 games this season, the Rangers averaged 3.6 goals for. They were 11-5-1 in their last 17. And all right, you mentioned that goaltending situation. Let's go through it. Alexander Georgiev, he had the biggest load. Okay, of all 3 of them, played in 34. He had the biggest load all season.
Oh,
the heaviest sack. He played in 34 games this year, and he put up, I guess, average numbers: 3.04 goals against with a .910 save percentage. And then we move on to this. How do I say it? Shesterkin, Igor Shesterkin.
Shesterkin, yeah.
This guy played in St. Petersburg last season. You want to know his stats last year, Whit? I'm sure you've been to St. Petersburg. Did you do a baza in St. Petersburg?
What an incredible city. Listen, I know how good this guy is. I don't know necessarily about how he lived his life in Russia. The guy's filth, Biz. He's filth.
1.11 goals against average last season with a .953 save percentage, in the KHL. So he started the season off in Hartford, of course, with Henrik Lundqvist being there and Georgiev. Didn't disappoint in the minors. And you mentioned the 10-2 record, RA. He's only lost 1 game in his last 9. This guy is a fucking stud. But last but certainly not least, the King, who I think should 100% be the starter in net for the Rangers. And I know he didn't have a great year. What do you mean, what?
Wow,
whoa. Some of you are like Whit and saying, Biz, he's 38 years old. Okay, and with all due respect,
I haven't even said anything yet.
And I know what you're thinking. All right.
How do you know? Don't try to get in my head.
You're saying, with all due respect, he's played 15 seasons. Maybe the body's breaking down. The time is passing him by, and it's time to dethrone him and pass it off to someone else. No, I think that David Quinn needs to get off his analytical high horse, and he needs to give Henrik Lundqvist the respect he deserves. He's the career leader in playoff wins for the New York Rangers organization. He has that experience, and I think in this scenario, you give him his last swan song. You put him in there, you see what he can do, okay, in front of an underrated decor. D'Angelo's been buzzing. Trouba's been coming into his own. And you mentioned the two studs up front. And Zibanejad, who actually leads the league in goals since the All-Star break, too, by 7. 23 goals since the All-Star break, Whit. And, of course, the bread man. So I think you put the King in net, and I think that they can go on a little bit of run. And worst case Ontario, little, what's the Trailer Park boy shutout there, they lose, and they have a chance of getting that first pick. So who cares, right? So David Quinn, get off the analytical high horse and give the people what they want. Put the King in net for one last run of the cup. Whit, what do you think?
I totally am kind of buying what you're saying. I just don't know the way the season was playing out if that's going to go down. You know what I'm saying? Can I say the word saying again? Do you know what I mean, Biz?
You could say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, my podcast. That Georgiev, oh my God, he goes on runs. He looks it looks like you can't score on him. So I totally can kind of figure out whoever they start. I can kind of buy into off the hop. Now, if they don't play well, you have the chance to make a quick change, but it's going to be a fun series. We got 3 more to chat about, but we're looking forward to Canes Rangers. Or as RA calls them, the Rags, and people get mad at them.
I know. It's like they think I'm making it like a bad nickname about them. It's like, no, they've been calling them that forever. One player – go ahead, Biz.
Well, I was going to say, do you think the Lemieux suspension affects them at all? Because he adds a completely different element, and he's got the first 2 games he's going to be sitting up in the press box.
I don't think it's an insurmountable issue for them. I mean, it's a loss of a guy, but it's one guy. He's not irreplaceable. He's a solid player. Like you say, he's a good irritant, but – I don't think it's going to be a huge deterrent. But also, Biz, we were talking about guys whose season was over when this stopped, but they're coming back. A name we didn't mention, Dougie Hamilton. Broke his leg. Season was over. Well, he's ready to play, and that's not a bottom pair defenseman you're throwing in. This guy's a top caliber defenseman that's going to be huge for Carolina. And like I said, the big question is, can they recapture what they did last year? They have a lot of the cast. They have the coach. Williams is back. They picked up Vinny Trocheck at the deadline. I know he didn't mesh right away, but he's a guy I'd be looking forward to producing. So
Rangers in 4.
All right, yeah, let's do a little prediction action. Rangers in 4. They're only in a best of 5. You're a beauty. But Rangers in 4 games.
Yeah,
so they can win 3-1. Carry the 1.
Suck on that one, RA.
Yeah, math guy. I'm the fucking math guy now.
Suck on that one.
I do suck at math. What do you got, Whit?
I got Canes in 5.
Yeah, this isn't even based on the season series. I don't put a lot of stock on that, but I don't know. I think the Canes got a big question mark on that. I'm going to go Rangers in. I'll go Rangers in 5. I think Carolina's enough spunk elsewhere where they can offset mediocre goaltending if that's what they get. All right, next series. This is actually the highest odds in all of the series. Montreal playing Pittsburgh. Montreal's a -240 favorite. That's the highest one on the board by far. They're a -170 in Game 1. The Pens won the season series 2-1. Obviously in Montreal.
Wait, the Canadiens are the favorites?
No, Pittsburgh's the favorite.
Oh,
smoke another one, buddy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you misspoke.
No, they're by far the biggest favorite on the board too. People goaltending is always the big thing in the playoffs. They don't know if they're going to go with Murray or Jarry yet. Jarry had a much better season. Of course, in Montreal, all eyes will be on Carey Price. He didn't have a great season. I mean, he was by his standards, I guess, but I don't know, with the playoffs. I feel like we've hit the reset button on hockey right now. So I don't know what we're going to get from people. I think Montreal, like I mentioned with Andrew Shaw, this is an X factor there just by pulling that jersey on come playoff time. But let's go to Biz.
He's with the Hawks though now.
Right. No, I'm saying, but I talked about him when he played for the Canadiens. How the aura of wearing that jersey in the playoffs. I know he's with the Hawks, but
sorry, my bad.
That's all right. Shit happens. So what do you think of the series, Biz? Montreal, Pittsburgh.
No offense to the Canadiens, I don't think they stand a snowball's chance in hell against the Pens, and I don't think that's a bad thing because I think the Canadiens could definitely use that first overall pick, so they can cross their fingers and hope that works out for them. I think with that core group of the Penguins getting a little bit older, they're probably going to take this a lot more seriously than other teams, knowing that their time is dwindling down. You mentioned the goaltending situation, and Yari had an unbelievable season. We know Murray's been known to show up in playoffs, so they have 2 options there. I think the only X factor in any way that the Canadiens have a chance to win is if Carey Price stands on his head, which we've said this before in the last few podcasts, could happen. I just don't see it happening. So Penguins in 4.
Yeah, the only way that the Canadiens could win, and it's not exactly me breaking news here, is if Price stands on his head and the Penguins get 0 goaltending. But the question being, like, it actually seems like you could see Jarry doing what Murray did to Fleury to Murray.
Yeah,
because it's just been it was a struggle for him, and then you read in camp so far since they all started skating together that he's struggling too. So Jarry was great. He made he's an all-star this year. And so you just wonder how that's going to end up. But they have so much more talent, top 10 power play team, I think, or top 10 offense. I mean, it's Crosby, Malkin, it's this core. And they've done this. They've had such a sick year. I mean, they had time missing Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, Letang. It's just been kind of like guys pitching in and figuring it out. So I think Penguins move on pretty easy here.
There's a question mark maybe with Pittsburgh. It might be their defense. I mean, they've won, cups with less than stellar defensemen because, they have goaltending and obviously Crosby and Malkin up front. But I think that's always been a question mark for them. And going against a Claude Julien coach team, they're going to emphasize defense. I think this one's going to be a little closer than people think. Again, I kind of think a lot of these series are more pick'ems. And these aren't by the way, I want to clarify, these aren't my official gambling picks. I'll be doing those on the last episode before we start. These are just kind of the picks we're playing along with. So I'm not telling anybody to bet these right now, just to make that clear. But Pittsburgh probably has a little too much offense, but I'll go Pittsburgh in 5. I think that it's going to be more of a battle than people think. So
you're basically going with the situation of the Canadiens trying to lock down the Penguins similar to the way the Islanders did to them last year. Yeah, not a sweep, but yeah, just controlling and slowing down that play and just frustrating the Pens.
Yeah, that's Claude. Claude builds his structure around defense, and he's been pretty successful for it thus far.
All right.
Next up on the slate, this is a very intriguing matchup: the Florida Panthers, boy Ian Dilly, versus the New York Islanders. Islanders are a slight favorite, 120 to make 100. Game 1, same thing, minus 120, 5.5 over. The Islanders did win the season series 3-0. I know this might not look like the most appealing series to some folks out there, but when it comes to the chess matches, man, you're going to have Quenneville versus Trotz. I mean, if you're looking at the game within the game, it's going to be some good shit right there, Whit.
Yeah, I think it could be high scoring. I don't. The Islanders are so confusing. I mean, listen, they started off. They were incredible. I don't remember their exact numbers. Like, it was 16-4, 16-3. They had a 10-game win streak. And then it just slowly kind of not fell apart, but became so inconsistent, like a 500 team, 20-20 or something, right around 19-20, leading up in the end of the season. And, they got Pajot over from Ottawa. It was a great deal. They signed him. I don't think they've won since he got there. So it's like, talk about a team who needed they needed a lightning delay in golf. You know what I mean, boys? What a fucking analogy. Excuse my French. They needed that. Maybe they needed this. In Florida, they have so much offensive talent. They have so many different guys who can score. And then Bobrovsky, that's the same question mark. Is this guy going to be unbelievable? You've seen him in Columbus stand on his head. Vezina guy, you can win playoff series with him. Or is he just going to be like he was for at least a lot of the beginning of the year in Florida, which was just really inconsistent? There's so many questions. I feel like some of the series you do know how they'll go, or you have a pretty good guess. This one, I have no idea.
I got Panthers in 5, and the reason I say so is a lot of those guys stayed in Florida. So as soon as everybody got back to skating, they were right there. They're back in great shape. I think that the offense is going to be buzzing. You mentioned how a few weapons they have up front. I was a little surprised by that Trocheck trade. That one confused me a lot to Carolina, and that's going to be a big loss for them. But Bobrovsky, you got to think things got to turn around for him at some point, and I think he's going to come back and he's going to light the lamp for that team in net. And, yeah, I
don't think he wants to light the lamp. He's the goalie.
Unless it's an empty net goal for the goaltender, maybe.
You know what the fuck I meant, you peckerheads. I got Panthers in 5, and I've been going against the Islanders forever here, and I'm kind of in the same boat with them as Carolina, where at one point I got to be right here.
Yeah, Panthers in 3.
Yeah,
Whoa!
Bob has
Fuck the Islanders.
Bob has a chance, Biz, to earn that $10 million contract because he had a so-so regular season, 23, 19, and 6, a .900 save percentage, 3.23 goals against, one shutout after he had 9 last year. But I don't know, goalies, they're so mental, they can turn the switch on, and he was great in the playoffs last year. And, he's got some pride. He's probably going to show up. Like I said, this is a coin flip. Islanders probably going to go with Varlamov and net. The Islanders, they're going to muck it up, play Trotz hockey, but I like the Isles, man. I think Quenneville gets the job done with that offense. And I'm sorry, I like the Panthers, not the Isles. Panthers in 4.
All right.
But the Rangers can't.
One more series to break down. And this one, has there been more pressure on a group of individuals than the Toronto Maple Leafs heading into this series?
Wow. Well, at least they're probably happy they're not facing off with the Bruins first off after the last few history. This feels like a super tight series to me. Toronto's actually a sizable favorite, -170, -160 in game 1, over under a 6. Season series, the Leafs won 1-0-1, so basically only played 2 games. We don't know if we're going to get Elvis in net or Jonas Korpisalo was healthy. Both guys are outstanding, so either one will be a factor, but Leafs got tons of firepower. Biz, let's go to you. You're the Canadian guy.
Leafs have no business losing this series, and they got the 3-headed monster right now. I think of Marner, Matthews, and Tavares on the first line. I like Anderson in net, and I think that they picked up Jack Campbell just in case, and I think he's a good safety valve. I like the fact that they picked up Kyle Clifford to add that physical element. I can't. I think the Columbus Blue Jackets. What's the term? The Cinderella story of the season, I would say, is going to come to it. What?
No fucking Caddyshack, Cinderella story.
I think it's coming to an end, and I'm hoping it does, because the amount of firepower that those guys will be under in Toronto if they lose to the Columbus Blue Jackets in a 5-game play-in series, given the salary cap and the big boys they have up front, they might as well move out of the city.
Biz, you said that perfectly. That's kind of what I thought, and it's obvious that you can't lose with the firepower difference here. I mean, the talent up front, the ability to score 2 different sick lines, whereas Columbus gets it done, but they kind of get it done by committee. And Luc Dubois is awesome, but I mean, he's not an 80, 90 point guy. The Maple Leafs have like 4 of them, 5 of them. So it's just going to be an issue of Toronto being better defensively. They're shit defensively. I think they're 6th worst in the league, like defensive team. I mean, there's so many nights they give up so many shots, and maybe you can win a track meet against some teams. I don't think Columbus is one of them, because if Merzlikins is as good as he was through most of the year, and they get outworked and all of a sudden they lose a quick game, it's like, I don't know what could happen.
And Muzzin did go down for a little bit there. He's back healthy. I think that's going to help out big time. I just can't see the Leafs losing this series. I'm going to get Toronto in 4.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, one thing we didn't mention either, guys, was the coaching factor, and I think that's huge. John Tortorella, obviously, his record speaks for itself. He's going against a rookie coach, so you got to think Columbus has a sizable advantage there. No disrespect to Keefe, of course, but it is Torts. And that Toronto D, like Whit said, they can be exposed. And if Columbus is playing like they did last year, and there's no reason to think they won't, I know the talent level isn't the same, but if the heart and the effort is, they can beat this Toronto team. So I'm going to go Columbus in 5.
Wow. Holy shit. Now, fast forwarding to Gambling Corner, do you think you're going to place that bet?
I do. I do. I like the plus 150, 100 to make 150 on Columbus for the series. Like I said, I view most of these series as pick'ems, just from a gambling perspective, because everything is reset. Everyone's healthy. This is something we've never done before. This is such a first time event. So I don't think that teams really have that same advantage from the season that people think. I could be wrong. That's just kind of my theory. I'm going to fucking work with. And hopefully.
All right.